question, just to follow up about the lead-up spot, when you're talking about the fluidity we could see there. The other day when Adam Frazier was hitting leadoff and against a guy like Mizorowski, he had a really strong at-bat, the first at-bat, fouls a bunch of pitches off, draws a walk. When you have a guy like that you could potentially utilize there, is there a strategy in that, thinking, hey, this is a veteran who could potentially run a pitch count up early for us, kind of set the tone at all when you're looking at that positioning?
Yeah, we try to take everything into account. You know, with Frage, he did a great job the other day working that leadoff walk, stealing second, getting over to third, and just trying to see, you know, there may be some different guys. As we go through this, Frage did a good job the other day, and he's back in there today.
There's been, the reason I asked too is there's been some strategy, it seems like, from other teams when a guy like Paul is in and they're just trying to foul a bunch of pitches off. The Mets did that well in the first inning against Smith yesterday too. So do you see that becoming more of a thing when you have types of pitchers like Paul and seeing the way guys are approaching him?
Yeah, I mean, they had some good at-bats off Paul the other day. Yesterday, Mitch, that first inning was tough. They ended up running up close to 30 pitches, 29, I think, in the first inning. You know, ideally you're going up there to hit or walk, get on base, you know, but a guy like Frazier that gives you a good at bat, you know, and consistently gives you good at bats, you know, trying to get on base, get a hit, walk, hit by pitch, whatever it is, and Frazier's done a really good job of that for us this year.
Has this been a challenge for you at all as a manager, for like the first time, you know, you had Cruz so consistently there and now it's a change in trying to find what's going to be consistent again with setting the tone right away?
Yeah, I mean, Cruzy has done a good job in the leadoff spot there. He's gotten his walks, stolen some bases, just looking for a way to get him back on track and get him feeling like himself again, and gives a good opportunity to Frage and some other guys that might jump up. Tommy yesterday being in the leadoff role.
With Pham, do you attribute him being in a good spot here to this contact lens thing and the prescription? I mean, was it almost as simple as that?
He's been dealing with that a lot, and I think a lot of it has to do with that. You know, he's continued to work, continued to do the things that we've talked about, but I think that was a huge part of it, and it seems like he's in a really good spot now with that. I mean, it's really tough to hit if you can't see clearly, you know, and to his credit, continued to try to figure it out, work as, you know, everything he could on the mechanics and the different parts of hitting, and you know, it seems like this has really put him over the hump, and he's in a really good spot with his lenses.
As far as Reynolds goes, he can come and go pretty drastically. You know, that's just been his career. You know, he'll go into a 1 for 25, and then he'll be 10 of his next 25. He always says timing, but is there anything else that allows him to get right very quickly, and then it's an avalanche, and then he goes away? Like, it's unique how over his career he's had some extremes in these 2 to 3 week stretches both ways.
He can. The one thing that stands out to me is how, when you look at the end of the year, how consistent he is. You know, and when you sit there and you look back and you see he's gonna hit 260 to 280. Sometimes he's been up to 300, but he's gonna be in somewhere in there with 24 to 27 home runs and drive in 80, 90. Like, he's just such a consistent player, and throughout the season he's going to have those ups and downs just like everybody is. You know, obviously he would like to stay in the positive end of that, but I think it's something that as a player that, you know, he's figured out at times how to get out of it. You know, O'Neill's going through it right now. Brian went through it earlier this year, you know, leading into that Philadelphia, and that's the hard part about baseball, is you're going to have those swings, and how do you try to stay in the middle of it emotionally when you're going through it.
When he's right, though, what is he doing right when things aren't going well? What do you think the issues are? Is there anything that's the common
Well,
factor?
for him individually, you know, I think that it's hard to say exactly. I know for me, when I played, my wife used to tell me, she's like, wait, what happened in the last 3 days that you were complaining? And I'm not comparing my Brian Reynolds to that player. I was not that good as a player, but when I would go through it, she'd be like, what happened in the last 3 days that you just now are all of a sudden feeling good? I was like, huh, if I knew, I would never go into that, you know, bad spot. Like, you want to stay in that good spot, and I think sometimes there's a feeling, there's rhythm, there's timing, there's all kinds of things that go into it. I wish that it was the same thing every time, and sometimes, most of the time, it's not. It's something that, you know, you can just feel off by a little bit with your hands or your stride, or, a thought process, and then next thing you know, you can be struggling, and you get a jam base hit, or you get a walk, or you get something that goes right, and you're right back snapping out of it.
That timing issue across baseball with the pitchers, the same kind of advantage right now. The spin rates and everything, getting that timing down between the slider curve versus fastball.
Yeah, the stuff is so good. I mean, pitching continues to get better and better. And it's such a challenge for the hitters to know. And from an offensive standpoint, these pitchers know there's a lot of data on what you can hit and what you can't, and they look to exploit that. Right? That's what we're doing from the pitching standpoint, and trying to figure out what the other team struggles with, and how do we stay with our strengths as a staff and try to use those strengths to exploit the weaknesses of the opponent. And as the stuff continues to get better, it gets harder with the rhythm and timing in hitting.
What is it? Is it the tunneling? Just unable to literally see whether it's a fastball, slider, something staying on the same plane and it stays firm or breaks off? Is that what it is now, or was it something else?
For me, I think that's always been the case. When you look back at guys that you faced that were really good, they tunneled. They pitched off of different pitches. I think that the awareness to it maybe, and the data now that we can collect to see what's going on, the high-speed cameras and the different things, like that was always the good pitchers had the stuff, could hide the baseball, and everything looked the same coming out. But there was no high-speed camera, there was no data, there's nothing to really analyze it. Now that we can analyze it, you can see it more, maybe it helps us be more consistent in it, but it does, that's what makes it. And then you look at the stuff, I mean, back in the day, you knew how many guys could throw 100 miles an hour, right? Like 5, on one hand. And now, when you look at a bullpen, you have 97 plus everybody that's coming out, and then you got starters like Paul and I can't say Mizraski from Milwaukee. He's throwing 101, 102. The stuff is just continuing to get better as well.
With Bailey, you've been very conscious, and I don't know if this is coincidental or not, but he's not yet hit 90 pitches this year. Is that like a hard line in the sand? Have you been very more conscious with that than maybe any other guys? Because he's been pretty efficient, but he's never hit 90 this year.
Yeah, it's not conscious, and he could. I think that I want to say he hit 90 once, maybe not when I was managing, and then the last time out I think it was 88, 89, and it's not line in the sand with him. We really don't have, as we go start to start and we see how these guys are doing, there may be days that, we look to not go as long, there may be days that they can go longer. And his last start, he did a heck of a job. I mean, it was so hot that day game against Texas, and he ended up going, I think it was 89 that day, but we just felt like he was out of gas that day.
DK, we saw Genesis come in last night and have a strong appearance in his very first appearance. Do you foresee him having a big role in the bullpen moving forward?
Yeah, he did a great job last night, and especially after we had talked about when you get DFA'd and you're kind of in limbo there and you don't know exactly where you're going to end up, and you can't touch the mound, and he had, I think it was 5 or 6 days between outings. That's tough, and for him to go through that and then go 1 1/3 last night with the new team, throw strikes, the stuff was there. I don't think he had great feel for the split in the moment, but that could be because of the 5 to 6 days. I thought he did a tremendous job, especially with the layoff that he had.
Tenorio has shown flashes of being improvement, but like last night he hit 2 doubles. What does he need to do to kind of iron out the ups and downs?
He has continued, just like Tommy, just like all these guys, he's continued to work every single day, and he's gone through some different adjustments while he's been here. And I think that for him, the ability to stay on the fastball, and he showed that last night, being able to drive that fastball to right and hit it really well. So I think that continuing to make those adjustments, and we talked about the stuff with the pitchers, the teams, and they're very quick to adjust back. So when you start to make those adjustments, they can go to something else. He's shown a good ability to handle off speed in the zone, and I think for him, staying on the fastball and being able to handle that is something that consistently that he
He doesn't get cheated. So
He does not get cheated.
Even in pitcher's counts.
Yeah, he's up there to hit.
Even with 2 strikes.
Yeah.
Tony, since the day he hired you as the manager, Ben Cherington has been pretty steadfast in saying that he believes this team has a chance to win this season. From your conversations with Ben, where does that confidence come from, and how much do you share that he has a vision and that you guys are on the same page with that, like what you want to accomplish this season?
Yeah, I think you saw last night with what we were able to do against a really good team, and we've shown flashes of that, continuing to be consistent in that. Starting pitching is going to be our foundation, you know, and finding ways, and good to get Mitch's second win last night. I think as we continue to work through the offensive struggles and continue to get better, and we've seen signs of guys continuing to do that, you know, continue to build it. And, you know, can I sit here and say that, oh, we're going to be a playoff team this year? I don't think we can say that. I think that for me, the work that goes on every single day and talking to Ben, how we continue to prepare, how we continue to work through this, and honestly, like the belief that I have in these guys, in that ability to work hard, continue to get better, and go out and have games like we did last night, I believe in them, and I believe that they're working every day to accomplish that. And if we continue to follow that process of getting better individually and showing up every day to help the team win, we're going to be in a much better spot.
Speaking of processes, he always included Derek Shelton in the process of the pre-draft process, and as well as kind of navigating the trade deadline. How much do you expect to be involved in those things, and how much are you looking forward to kind of navigating what's going to be, you know, kind of an eventful July?
Yeah, it'll be an eventful July. How much I'll be involved, I'm not sure. You know, it's something that Ben and we talk every day on a lot of different things in regards to the team here, but as we go through, I'm not really sure, and I don't even know, I think, what my expectation would be, just to have conversation and continue to work here to continue to build a winning team.
Not that strength of schedule is a thing like college basketball, but you guys have played a lot of teams with winning records, especially in the first half. It's one of the stronger schedules, I guess, in baseball nowadays. Is that something that you're taking into consideration as you evaluate, you do the self-evaluation kind of stuff?
We have played some good teams, and we've been right there. I think that's something, you know, when you look back at we had the Chicago. When we went Chicago, Detroit, we had great series there, you know, playing the Mets, the Phillies, the Houston Astros. We've had, and we played a ton of one-run games, you know, which has been great experience for the team, and to continue to build towards what we were just talking about, that process of winning. And that's who we expect to compete with, are those teams, and it's a good barometer for us. We need to continue to get better. We need to continue to work, continue to build, you know, and that's a good, this is a good test with the Mets too, and I thought last night we responded pretty well.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.